Hi, my name is Victor and you're with Revit Experiments. It's Saturday evening and I finally have the time to make this video for you. So, what you see here is a building by Bjarke Ingels group. And this was suggested in a comment of my last video here by one of my subscribers. And I decided, okay, this is a cool looking building, we can do that. And I'm also working, it just happened in such a moment where I'm working on a course for paneling in Revit, so for facades in Revit, so this was like the perfect thing. And actually I might put this in the final version of the course. That course, I hope is gonna be ready before Christmas, but we'll see. And yeah. So this is the building. It looks nice. Maybe not. It depends. It's personal opinion. And you can see this is what it looks like. Here there is a detail, and it's a straight line up here, curve down here, and some shape explanation things around. And here's what I got in Revit. So pretty much that thing. And if I close that and I go to my 3D view, this is the facade in Revit. Looks nice in the details. And yeah, let's get to it. By the way, if you wanna stay tuned and see updates from me, please subscribe to my channel, and you can also go to Revit Experiments.com, which is my website. It has a blog here, and you can just stay tuned and see like interesting things about Revit and Dynamo. So I'm going to do this from the scratch, so this might be a long video. If you want a short answer, this here is an adaptive component and we are using a repeater. That's the short answer. And we are using 3 types of panels, pretty much. Actually 2 types and a hosted one, but yeah, I'm going to get to this. So first, let's start with the overall shape. I'm going to enable the show mass because we need to create a mass. In order to have that edge up here, which is a straight line, and have something curved down here, we need to have a mass. Even in Revit 2021, we are allowed to create sloped walls, but we can't have this double curvature. To do this shape, we need mass or a component in place. And here I have done this mass, but I'm going to create a new one. And just gonna go to the massing inside, in place mass, mass 2. And I'm just going to go to the plan level and I'm going to create a shape, something like this. I'm going to select that, go to my 3D view again. Most of the time in Revit I work in 3D, and I'm actually really surprised to see that some people are working mostly in 2D. But it's a matter of personal preference, so yeah. So this is the basic shape, and now what is left is I just need to click on that edge or on the shape. But if I click on the edge and hit edit profile, it's just going to give me the option to edit this profile, and I'm going to delete this line and I'm going to draw in an arc. And you can use a spline, but with spline you won't get such a nice result, and I'm going to get into that a bit later. So I'm drawing an arc here, and I'm right now eyeballing this. I haven't seen any drawings of the building, so I just feel like it should be like that. So that's how we create the basic shape of the form. And of course, looking at the picture like that one, we can see that we have like 1, 2, 3, 4 floors, and the building is pretty much like if this is the height, we have like 1 height, 2 heights, 3 heights, 4 heights maybe. So let's say if this is like office building, 4 floors, approximately 15 to 16 meters tall, and then we have the thing on top. It's always important to analyze it. So you can see like let's look at the other picture. We have a solid panel, then we have a glass one, then we have a solid again. And if we actually go here and zoom in the picture, you can see that that window and that panel are kind of in the same plane, which is important. And then that window and that panel are kind of in the same plane. Of course, the window is a bit retracted. It's a bit further down, but it's on the same plane. So this one as well, with that window. It doesn't look like they are on the same plane here, because from this angle it looks like that thing and that thing might be on the same plane, but actually the window and that thing are on one plane, and then that thing is on another. So yeah. What are our options actually? Well, you know that we can have curtain walls to create curtain walls, but we cannot have them on that shape. And what else can we do? We can have curtain systems. I don't know if you've worked with curtain systems before, but let's say I finish that mass. To create a curtain system, you go to the architecture tab, select a curtain system, then select a face and select create system. And this is giving you this division of panels, horizontal and vertical, or actually not horizontal and vertical, they are just grid 1 and grid 2 panels here. And you can edit the type of that curtain system, and here you can select, okay, I don't want a fixed number, I want a fixed distance. So let's say we want this to be 4 meters. I'm working in millimeters in this project, and this one we want it to be a fixed distance again of 1500 millimeters, and this is giving us a grid like that. So if I select my curtain system and just switch that to 1500 and that to 4000, we're gonna see our facade. And now the interesting thing with curtain systems is that theoretically they support the curtain panels of a wall, but actually they don't. Not when they are on a curved shape like this. They would support a normal curtain wall panel only if the panel is exactly a rectangle, and here it is not. So we can only use the system panel, so we can make this a solid, and then we can make that a solid. You get the idea. We have this like checkerboard thing going on, and this would be like the first instinct of what we could do in Revit. And we can go to the solid panel and make it thicker, create an offset, you know, like. And of course, what else we can do with the curtain system is we can go here to the curtain grid and add individual segments or remove individual segments. So we can pretty much then go and select that one and make that one solid. And we can play with that. And actually we can also play with that programmatically. I have a video, I have an old video on my channel where I'm showing how we play with those grid lines with Dynamo. There I'm using a randomizer node, so it's just random placement of the lines, but we have control over where we could place them, so we can pretty much automate that. So yeah, just take a look at that video. It has only 100 views, and yeah, but it might be interesting for you, might not. So we can go and do this manually. It's not cool, but we could. And what's the logic behind that? Well, just adding those, changing the panel. You can see that we can get to that eventually. In this case, what we could do to make this one panel, because right now we can see there are two panels in two different planes. If we want to make it one panel, we can actually select a different type of curtain system, and here we can say none, and we can hit delete grid line, and now we can see we don't have the curtain systems grid lines, the automatic ones. We only have these two, and these two are the ones that we created, and that curtain system is now just a flat panel because it doesn't have all the divisions. So we can go here and say curtain grid all segments now, and we can create this manually, or with Dynamo we can make this automatically. But the thing is, we can determine exactly where we want these lines to be, and we can make this on I'm just eyeballing again, but we can actually use equal spaces. And when we do this, we can, let's say, okay, now I want this to be a solid panel, like that, and that one as well, I want to be a solid panel. Okay, right, but actually we don't want this here. So you can see now it goes all the way up, and then we can go, okay, let's make our structure one grid line at a time. We select the one segment and we say, okay, here we want our panel, this is going to be glass, then from here to here is also going to be glass, and from here to here. So we change this to the glazed panel. And then we can, of course, create more of these one segments here. We can align them. And as I said, we can use Dynamo and the Revit API to place these manually. And I'm showing this just so you know that this is one way to achieve it. It's not the best way for sure. You can select multiple panels, but the selection is actually really pain in the neck. And then we can go and make more of these. So that's one way of doing it, and you can certainly achieve that shape by doing it that way. But as I said, or maybe I haven't, but I don't want to use Dynamo for this, and I want to show you a nice way of doing it. So I don't want to show you, okay, place this manually 100 times and then it's done. Even though it's a viable, it's a way of doing it. So what I have done here is using the divided surface. So I'm going to copy that mass here, and I'm going to go inside. I'm going to hit edit in place, and selecting that face, I'm going to select divide surface. And here we can see pretty much the same thing that we had here, but the layout is in the properties and not in the edit type. There's nothing in the edit type because this is a system thing in Revit. And we can set here, okay, we want fixed distance, and here we want a fixed distance, and we want dot 1 to be 1500, and dot 1 to be 4 meters, or something like that. Good. And then we want the alignment not to be center, the justification, but let's say end, or okay, it's gonna be the beginning, and here as well. I'm just gonna, this doesn't really matter too much, but just want to have that corner here the right way, and I want to make that a bit taller, because what do we have now? Oh, actually I don't want to make it taller, I want to make it shorter. I'll make it like this, or 16,900, something like that, to have that board here of shorter panels. And now you probably know about the divided surfaces. You have a bunch of predefined patterns that you can use. So this is like a brick pattern, another brick pattern. We can have arrows, hexagons, octagons, you name it. Like, we have a certain number of predefined patterns. They are all based on that initial grid that we see though. Like, if I select no pattern, we see that grid. And all the other patterns are based on points on this grid. And I'm going to show you this. I'm going to select nodes so we can see those points and where those points are. I'm going to turn off the grids, but you see those points. And if I turn on one of those patterns, let me go here and enable that again. Okay. I don't want to change the material, just want to show the surface, so I have to click here first. Okay, you can see that this pattern is actually defined by these points. The arrow shape is defined by them. the two-step pattern is defined by them. Literally, all of those patterns are divided using those same points. And we might think that the checkerboard is what we need in order to create our pattern here. It looks like that at first glance. But then it's not, because actually the checkerboard leaves like we would have a panel here and then a gap here, and those panels don't really intersect. We cannot make that thing that we were doing manually here, that thing. So what we need to do is use a repeater, and to use a repeater we don't need to have a pattern on. We just need to have those points. And then we need to go and create our adaptive component. So I'm going to go to File, New, Family, Metric, because I use the metric system, Generic Model Adaptive. Or I could use a curtain panel pattern based. They are pretty much the same thing. Okay, so here I have nothing, but I'm just going to start with creating points. And I'm going to show you something. Like, first, it's really important to know in which order you create your points. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to select them and hit Make Adaptive. But really, it's important to know that this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and not 1, 2, 3, 4. And then what I need to show you is that if I now go here and select those 2 points, I can click on the spline and it's going to create a line through those points. Then I can select those 2. I can create that spline through points and it's going to give me another one. Then I'm going to select those 2, hit it, and those 2, hit it. So these points are now defining these curves, and they will stretch wherever the point goes. And I'm going to select them and make them a reference line. I don't really have the time to explain you why. And then I'm going to hit on create shape here. And that shape, we can turn it into parameters, but I'm just gonna have it as 300 positive offset and 100 negative, something like that. The thing is, when we have this panel, if I shift that point up, this thing here is becoming a double curved face. So if I just use that panel on our points, it's going to be curved. And we don't want that because we won't get that shape. This shape that we have here clearly is the result of having straight faces. Of course, it is also easier for manufacturing, which always should be considered. Even when you are creating like concept designs, how you manufacture it should be considered. So this is a flat face here, and we need to find a way to use this panel, but make sure that it stays always on a flat surface. So this is going to be our family 1, and I'm going to save this as something. I'm just going to say solid 1. Okay, that is going to be our solid panel. Then I'm going to actually delete this and I'm going to create my window, my glazing. So how to do this? I'm going to click on I'm going to create a point on one of those lines. Then I'm going to set this point reference plane as my drawing plane, like this. Set, and click on that plane. Then I'm going to go to the rectangle tool, and I'm going to change from drawn face to drawn work plane, because this is my work plane now. I'm just going to create a profile, something like that. I'm just eyeballing now, but you can of course make this parametric. You can put dimensions here, and you can load a profile from another family. You can do many things. I'm hitting create reference line, selecting those lines and those lines, and I'm going to hit create form, and this is going to create a sweep. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to use these edges of that sweep to create the glass panel inside. So I'm just selecting that edge, then the other edge of the shape. Where is it? Here. Okay, I lost my selection. So that one, I'm holding shift to select them all, and then that one. And now I'm going to hit create form again. But it's not what we expected. Why is that? Well, apparently I didn't select the right edges. Or there is another problem with our family. Let's go and see. One of the problems that I think might be happening is that these are not in the same plane now. So I'm just gonna make sure that all these points are lying on the same plane, like this. And then if this is here, it doesn't really matter too much. And then I'm going to make sure I select just the edges that I want. That one. And that these edges are attached to each other. Create form. Okay, now we have a solid shape. And for the negative offset, I'm going to set it to, let's say, minus 40 or something. Okay, it's going to be 40. And then the positive is going to be minus 15 or something. Just so we make it a bit realistic. Again, I'm not gonna go too much into detail here. And I'm going to select material for that one. To make it transparent, so I'm going to go and select the glass like this. Most family templates have glass material parameter, or alternatively, depending on how you work, you might want to assign it to a subcategory. Okay, and this is going to be my second family, so I'm just going to save it as. And I'm gonna say, okay, this is going to be the glass panel. Good. It's a long tutorial, I know. Then I'm gonna go to File, New, Family, and I'm going to create a new adaptive family. I know it's a long one. And here in that adaptive family, I'm actually going to need only 3 points. 1, 2, 3. Right. I'm going to make them adaptive. And here now it's important that we actually have the approximate size of the one that we're going to use. So I'm just going to measure the distance from here to here, and I can see that it's about double what we need. I'm just gonna make it closer, that one as well. Not super important, but still nice. And I'm going to pretty much do the same exercise here, like create those spline through points. A spline through 2 points is basically a line. I need to make sure it always goes through the points. That's why I'm using a spline, not because I need it to be curved. And I'm going to connect those two and create another reference line. And as you know from geometry, 3 lines create a plane. And I need that plane. I need to be sure that what we do sits on one plane, and this plane is going to be invisible in the project. I'm just going to tick that off, and I'm going to hide these lines because I don't want to accidentally put anything on them. So everything I do now is going to be on this plane. Why is that important? Well, you're going to see. I'm going to host a point here on the edge of the plane. That's why I've hidden the lines, because I might by mistake put that point on the line. Okay. Then I'm going to host another point on that point. How to do this? I'm going to click set, and I'm tabbing through the different reference planes that that point defines. I need that one, and then I'm gonna click on that point, draw it on the work plane, and it's gonna say that there are 2 identical points in the same place, but that's okay. Then I want to move that point in this direction, and we're gonna have that parameter here, offset. And this parameter I'm going to connect to a type parameter, because I want to control that in the type. This is going to be our width. Okay, good. And we want our width a bit more. Okay. Then what I want to do is I want to do 2 more of these. So I'm going to select them, and I'm going to copy them to the left. But when I do this, you can see that this point actually loses its host. But this one is still hosted to that one, so I just need to click on that one and pick a new host here, like this. And I'm gonna copy this one more time and do the same. Pick new host. Good. And now they're all connected to that parameter that we created, and they're all lying on that plane that we've hidden. And that one I want to send to the beginning of that curve, so I'm going to hit 0 here, and it will go to the top. And that one I'm going to send to the end of the curve, so I'm going to hit 1. What about that one? That one I'm going to turn to another parameter. And that parameter, I can use that normalized curve length, which is going to be a value from 0 to 1, which is fine. but maybe you need it to be an exact value, so I'm going to hit here segment length, and then I will be able to tell it on which height exactly I want this point to be. Okay, and now I'm going to bring in the other families that we created. So the glass panel, I'm just gonna load it into my new family. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why we need to know where our points are. And then I'm going to go and open the solid panel. I'm gonna load it into the new family. And I'm gonna go 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have both these panels lying on a plane, and now we can load that plane into that family into the project. Let me save it as family. What should I call it? Main window. And I'm going to go here to our file, to the 3D view, and I'm going to go and load it. And we know, like, 1, 2, 3, and then we are going to place it here. 1, 2, 3. You see? Starting to look like it. And then we place it here. 1, 2, 3. Isn't that cool? Okay. So this is our pattern, pretty much. Have 1 floor, 2nd floor, 3rd floor, 4th floor. And now I can select those 3 panels and hit that button here, which says repeat. And Revit is gonna calculate and place those panels. Okay. So it's starting to look like what we want. And we can see that here now they are intersecting. Why? Because our parameter is still so now it selected the family inside, and I need to select the host family. So I'm just tabbing through the selection, main window. I need to change that to 1500, which is the size that we know our division is. Okay, now they are really well adjacent to each other, and what's left is to bring in an individual panel the same way for the glass here and for the solids here. Okay, should we do that? Let me just finish the mass first. Yeah, let's save the project. Okay, so here, or actually, let me just do this. Here, in our main window, I want to make that it's another family. So I'm just gonna save it as, and I'm gonna say it solid. Main window solid or something. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get rid of this for now, and I don't need the center point anymore. But what I do need is I do need this to be on a single plane, and I'm hitting CM to place our solid here, and I'm gonna load that into our project. Okay. And then I'm going to go and save it as the glass panel. Save as family. Main window glass or something. And I'm just going to select that and switch it to the glass panel. As easy as that. Hit save and load it into the project. And yeah, I'm going to open the mass again. And I'm going to start with the glass panel. As you remember, we need to place it on these points here. 1, 2, 3, and then again here. Why do I need to place it a second time here? This is to define the pattern. 1, 2, and the last point up here. Make sure you snap to the right point. And let's make this wireframe to make it clearer. 3. And if it now looks strange, that's because we didn't select the right point. Let's try that again. 1, 2, 3. And these two panels, okay, this is not the right location, but it should be here. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. What I was saying is that these two panels now, they have the same problem. This needs to be 1500 exactly, because this is what we defined. Now let me change it back to shaded. When we select those two and hit the repeater again, they're going to populate on that first row here, like that, all the way up to the end. And then, as you might have guessed, I'm going to do the same for the solid panel. Main glass, main window solid. And here I need to place panel here. But up there we don't have a point, do we? So that's going to be a problem, because we need to have it here. So I'm going to select that edge and say divide path, and I'm going to just use the same fixed distance of 1500, and then we do get these points here, right? So I'm going to click on the component, and you remember 3 points only. 1, select the point, 2, 3, right, and then here. Let me switch it back to wireframe again. So point, 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 and for the small panels here, point, 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 point. And I'm going to switch it back to shaded. I'm going to select those. Edit type, make it 1500 again. Not 15,000, just 1500. Okay. And now it looks good. And I'm going to select those 4. And hopefully the repeater will understand what I want to do. Okay, it didn't understand. So I need to do those 2 first, like this. Repeat them. And then I'm going to do the small ones. Yeah, I just by accident selected only one of them, so we didn't know what to do. So select those 2 and create the repeater. The repeaters are really funny in Revit because sometimes they are really unpredictable. And that's how you make the facade here. And I want to show you why it is important to have that made as an arc. It is the distribution, the division of equal segments here and here that makes the geometry aligned nicely. So these faces are touching, even though this is a little bit in front of the other, which is exactly what we see here. Now here of course we have that gap. This is more detail. We can always add more detail to these panels, but I think this is a fairly good representation of what's happening there. And I want to say that this is the architectural part of the facade. Of course there is a facade manufacturer who has like the know-how, the technology of how to do these things, how to do them in the physical world. But as architects, if you give them this as a model, they're going to be pretty happy. So let me go here, select that edge, hit edit profile, and instead of an arc, I'm going to draw the spline first, and I'm going to make it as close as possible to that arc. 2 control points, the end point here. Okay, let's move these control points like this. Okay, and then I'm going to go and delete the arc itself. And I'm gonna say finish this. And Revit is now recalculating where all those panels should go. Now it looks even more fucked up than it actually is, but Let me hit finish the mask first, because now we can see both variations. And you can see it's a total mess now, especially up here. What the heck is happening here? The ones here are kind of okay-ish, even though that one goes inside that one and that one goes inside that one. And that's because of the way splines are divided into equal segments. They're not actually equal, but this is a whole different topic. But my point here is that I'm going to undo. Is that actually the geometry defines a lot how well the paneling goes. Most of the time in real world, yeah, that looks nice. Most of the time in real world, the facades and paneling are really optimized in the geometry of the building. Like, let's say we had the spline here, and they'll tell you, okay, get rid of the spline, we need a circular arc, because we can divide that in a nice way, so everything stays like geometrically neat. And yeah, but more about this in my course for paneling and curtain walls in Revit. That's hopefully gonna be out in mid to late December. And thank you for staying with me so far in the video. I know it's a long one, but it's just the concept that couldn't be explained quickly. Actually, I still haven't covered all the details of the way this is done. But yeah, that is how you make those kind of things and how you think about them. And of course, you can do it with the curtain system as well. Especially if you know how to use Dynamo to create those kind of things automatically, where we clicked manually to make those lines. Then it's a nice way of doing that. Then we can go here, we can say, hey, we want 1,000,000, like this. Isn't that nice? We can put the money here as well. So using the curtain system to do this facade is, I would say, technically possible. I don't know if it is viable doing it manually, but technically it's possible. So why not? You can try making this at home. Anyway, thank you for staying with me. My phone's battery went down, so I don't know if there's going to be any video of me showing you this, but yeah. And about Dynamo, I said that you can do this with Dynamo. If you want to learn Dynamo, you can go to my website and go here to learn Dynamo and see what I think about it. And you can also go to Udemy and see my course. It's crazy cheap now, so you can try it out. Thank you for watching this, and till the next time. Bye bye.